The United States men's national team has a new commander-in-chief. Mauricio Pochettino is the new US men's national team head coach, which raises a lot of questions. How much better can he make this team? What is his style of play? What will his roster look like? We're going to dive into all of that the next few weeks, but today I want to primarily focus on his very first roster. What will it look like? And to be honest, I don't know what it will look like. And neither do you. Nobody knows what his roster will truly look like. But what we're going to do here today in this video is try to do a calculated guess. Hi, if you're new here, I'm Filippo, and welcome to Tactical Manager TV, and welcome to our very first US Men's National Team roster prediction video for Mauricio Pochettino's roster. Which, by the way, it's not going to be for the September camp. It'll be for October.
Okay, so I was actually about to sit on the couch, relax, drink some milk, watch a movie, but then I was scrolling through X, one of the most toxic apps in the world that I very much love, I very much adore, and they were actually saying that Mauricio Pochettino could be in charge of the US men's national team in September. It still looks like Mikey Varas will be the coach, the interim coach in September, and then Pochettino will take over in October. But it looks like there's a small possibility. Regardless, pretty much everything I say in the roster prediction in this video still stands. I just wanted to add that because I just saw it on Twitter, and I don't want to be called fake news, okay? Bye. Enjoy the episode.
For September, we're going to have interim head coach Mikey Varas in charge as it was reported. We're also going to have some brief mentions during this video in regards to Pochettino's tactics, style of play, and preferences, but I'm not going to dive into it too much because in a day or two after this video that you're watching right now is released, we're going to release a detailed breakdown of how Pochettino might set up the US men's national team, the starting 11, tactics, everything you need to know. And you see, Mauricio Pochettino has the opportunity to enter my list of top 5 people that I idolize, like these guys that I'm truly a fan of, such as Abe Lincoln, Keanu Reeves, Jack Sparrow, Bruce Wayne. They all have done a lot for the United States of America, and I hope to be able to place Pochettino in this list by the end of the 2026 World Cup. Now sit back, relax, get some coffee. Look, if you get coffee, make sure you have a toilet nearby. You know why. I don't have to explain it. Okay, I'll explain it. Every time I drink coffee, I poop. And I'm assuming that happens to everyone. And of course, make sure to smash the like button just because. Why not? And let me know in the comment section down below. Realistically, how far do you think the United States can make it in the 2026 World Cup with Mauricio Pochettino in charge, now that we have a real coach? Okay? Roll the episode. Now, before we start naming the roster, I must make a few assumptions. The first one is that Mauricio Pochettino doesn't really know our player pool that well. So we're likely going to see a very similar roster to the Copa America, or maybe even the September roster that Mikey Varas will call up. The other assumption is that it will be a 23-man roster, so a smaller roster than the Copa America that had 26 players. It's just 2 games, 2 friendlies, so why would he bring more than 23 players? I'm also going to assume that he does not rate MLS as much as Berhalter. So MLS players making the roster will become very rare. A few might still make it, which is fine, but I think Mauricio Pochettino is more of a Euro snob, which is good because most of our players are in Europe. We want MLS to get better, and we want to have a few MLS players here and there, mostly prospects. And keep in mind that Pochettino likes to play out of the back. He likes to press. Hopefully he adjusts a few things here and there. He loves runners with some technical ability, of course. So take all of that into consideration when we're building this roster. Again, later this week, a day or two after this video, we're going to do a whole video breaking down Pochettino's style of play, tactics, formation, how he might set up the US men's national team, which players will gain more minutes with him, which players will gain less minutes. Actually, the right wording is not gain less minutes, is which players will lose minutes under Mauricio Pochettino. But that's not something we're going to dive into today. Right now, let's start the roster prediction. And why don't we start with the goalkeepers? Okay, 23-man roster with 3 goalkeepers. Who will they be? And the US men's national team goalkeeper situation is scary bad right now. We have a bunch of mid to bad veterans and a few prospects that ain't ready, which makes me miss Tim Howard. Like, a lot. And listen, Ethan Horvath simply ain't good. I doubt Pochettino will bring him in. I'm expecting him to bring our best veteran goalkeeper, which would still be Matt Turner. By then, Matt Turner will probably have found a new club and will be playing. And then I think alongside Matt Turner, he's going to bring the 2 best young goalkeepers that we have. So he'll likely bring Patrick Schulte, the 23-year-old goalkeeper from the Columbus Crew, and 20-year-old Gabriel Slonina that belongs to Chelsea and is loaned out to Barnsley. Essentially looking forward to 2026. That's why I think he'll bring these 2 goalkeepers. And Pochettino likes to play out of the back. So Matt Turner just won't cut it. He's very likely to look into alternatives, and I think it'll start from the very first camp. This is not like club soccer where he can simply just buy a player and replace Turner. He's going to have to look into alternatives and try to replace him by 2026. Now, I'm not saying Gaga, Slonina, and Schulte are the solution, but they're the most promising goalkeepers that we have right now that could be ready for 2026. And I think Pochettino will probably bring them in, give them a look, maybe not really develop them, but try to help develop them in one way, shape, or form. Players are not really developed in the national team environment, but you get the point. And for anyone asking about maybe Diego Kochen from Barcelona, he's 18. He's not going to be ready for 2026. So once again, just to recap, the 3 goalkeepers that I think he will bring will be veteran Matt Turner and then 2 young prospects, Patrick Schulte from the Columbus Crew and Gabriel Slonina from Barnsley. Next up, we have the fullbacks, and I believe he's going to bring 4 fullbacks. The first 2 are pretty straightforward. It'll be Joe Scally, the right back from Borussia Mönchengladbach, and Anthony Robinson, the left back from Fulham. Dest is not available due to a torn ACL, otherwise he would make the roster. And then after those 3, our options are kind of bad or very limited. When it comes to right backs, it's actually abysmal. We can't bring Brian Reynolds, we can't bring Shaquille Moore, or who was the guy that played in the Olympics, Nathan Harriel. None of these guys cut it. So I actually think that Pochettino will end up bringing 2 left backs for different reasons. One of them I expect to be Caleb Wiley, a young promising left back that can also play as a right back, and if needed, of course, and he currently plays for Strasbourg in France, in the first division of France. Again, Pochettino likes working with young players and helping them develop. He's not going to really develop them in a national team environment, but I'm sure he's going to want to give Caleb Wiley a look. The other one I expect is Christopher Lund, the left back that plays for Palermo in the second division of Italy and was with the US men's national team in the Copa America, mainly due to our lack of depth. Now keep in mind, Weston McKennie and Tim Weah can play as right backs if needed, but we definitely won't see Shaquille Moore in a Pochettino roster, I would hope. And again, anyone asking for Richie Ledesma because he played 1 or 2 games for PSV as a right back, no thank you. We need to see him play against better opposition. He played against crap teams, so no Richie Ledesma as well. So just to recap, the 4 fullbacks are Joe Scally, the right back from Borussia Mönchengladbach, Anthony Robinson, the left back from Fulham, Caleb Wiley, the left back that can also play as a right back from Strasbourg in Ligue 1 that originally was playing for Atlanta United in MLS, and then Christopher Lund, the left back that plays for Palermo in the second division of Italy. Our depth in the fullback position kind of sucks, and we're really going to miss Serginho Dest. Okay, next on the list, we have the center backs. And again, as I said prior in the video, and I'll do that tactical breakdown later this week, Pochettino likes to play out of the back. So I doubt Miles Robinson or Walker Zimmerman are realistic options. I could see him maybe calling one of them at some point, but it doesn't really seem like they suit the style of play that he wants to play. Now, he could give a young ball-playing defender a shot, maybe a Jalen Neal from the LA Galaxy. He's really good on the ball, very promising defender in MLS, but probably not yet. Like I said, he's going to get to know our player pool first, and it'll take time. So very likely he's going to bring Chris Richards from Crystal Palace, Cameron Carter-Vickers from Celtic in Scotland, Mark McKenzie from Toulouse in France, and Tim Ream that plays for Charlotte FC. Now, Ream did leave Fulham. He's experienced. He can play on the ball. He will likely be called in by Pochettino early on, until he finds a replacement at least. Plus, Tim Ream can also help Pochettino adjust to the player pool much faster. He's experienced, and he can help him probably implement his system Again, until he finds a replacement. I don't think we're going to go to the 2026 World Cup with Tim Ream starting. Now, you may be wondering, what about Austin Trusty that plays for Sheffield in the second division? And to that I say, maybe. He was bad in the Premier League, like really bad. His defense was the worst defense in the Premier League history. And we'll have to see how he's going to be doing in the EFL Championship for the next month or so. Remember, we're doing this video late August, and the roster call-up won't be like 30 to 40 days from now. I don't think Trusty will make the first roster, but eventually I can see him getting an opportunity. So again, just to recap, the 4 center backs will likely be Chris Richards from Crystal Palace, Cameron Carter-Vickers from Celtic, Mark McKenzie from Toulouse, and Tim Ream that plays for Charlotte FC in Major League Soccer. Next up, we have the midfielders, which is a section of the field where I believe we have a ton of depth. And I think Mauricio Pochettino will bring a total of 6 midfielders. And keep in mind, he loves playing with a 10. Okay, so right away, it's safe to assume that Tyler Adams won't make it. He's expected to be back late September or early October for Bournemouth, and Pochettino won't risk it like Berhalter did. I doubt he'll call Tyler Adams for the first roster. He's not as stupid as Greg Berhalter. He's going to let Tyler Adams rest, fully recover, focus on his club, and when Tyler is ready, he'll be back with the U.S. men's national team. Now, Luca De La Torre's club situation is a bit iffy at the time of this recording. I don't know if he's going to make the 6-man midfield for this specific roster. I don't even know where Luca De La Torre will be playing, so I'm going to say he's not going to make the roster. Wesley McKennie and Yunus Musa should be there for sure as long as they're healthy. Johnny Cardoso should be there. Malik Tillman, Gio Reyna as well. Pochettino loves to play with a 10, so Gio Reyna and Tillman will likely see a lot of minutes. Now, could he call Paxton Aronson? Maybe. If he continues to play well in the Eredivisie, he could be an option for the 10, but I still think Gio Reyna and Malik Tillman are much more proven, much more ready, and just better players at the moment than Paxton Aronson. But most likely, the 6th man in this midfield will be Leonard Maloney from Heidenheim in the Bundesliga, the versatile central defensive midfielder that was also among the players that covered the most distance last season in Germany. And trust me, Pochettino really likes players that run a lot and press a lot, and Maloney does all of that. The dude looks like Macklemore, the rapper, but he runs like Forrest Gump. A few other names that deserve at least a shout out would be Gianluca Busio from Venezia. I don't think he will make it. I don't think he has a shot in making it for this roster. And Tanner Tessman, which again, he has sorted out his club situation at the moment because he's still with Venezia, but they said he ain't playing with them this season. So until Tanner Tessman gets a move, it's hard for me to predict that he'll make the roster. Plus, I do believe the options that I mentioned are better than Busio and Tessman anyway, so I think they won't make the roster. So just to recap, the midfield that I believe he will bring will be Yunus Musa, Wesley McKennie that is back with Juventus, Johnny Cardoso from Real Betis, Gio Reyna from Borussia Dortmund, at least at the time of this recording, he's still a Dortmund player, Malik Tillman from PSV, and Leonard Maloney from Heidenheim. All right, next up we have the wingers, and I think Mauricio Pochettino will bring 4 wingers in his very first roster, and if you made it this far in the video, you better have hit the like button already. You better have done it. And subscribe to the channel because, as I said, we're going to do more videos covering the U.S. men's national team and Mauricio Pochettino the next few days. So you're not going to want to miss out and probably hit the notification bell. But let's talk about the wingers. And you know, I don't expect many changes here from the Berhalter roster in the Copa America. Kevin Paredes is a good option and he can also play as a left back, but I doubt he'll make this first roster. He is injured at the moment and apparently he won't be back till mid-September due to an ankle injury. So he's not going to make the roster. Luca Coleosho, the young winger from Burnley, would be great, especially so we could recruit him. He is eligible to play for Italy and Canada, but I doubt Pochettino will have the time to recruit him in the very first month of work. Griffin Yao and Taylor Booth might get a shot in the future, but probably not on this roster. Taylor Booth is barely playing for Utrecht early in the season, so I think he's going to keep it simple for this one. So again, he's just going to keep it very simple, the same as the Copa America in my opinion. It'll probably be Christian Pulisic from Milan, Tim Weah from Juventus, as long as he's healthy, right? Because Tim Weah, at the time of this recording, he had a minor injury, which looked like a hamstring injury with Juventus, but he should be fine because this is not till October. So Pulisic, Weah, Brendan Aronson from Leeds. I mean, Aronson loves to press, and like I said, Pochettino will probably use Brendan Aronson quite a bit. And then Haji Wright from Coventry. And I think Haji Wright could thrive under Pochettino. We'll talk about that in another video. But those will probably be the 4 options. Pulisic, Weah, Haji, and Aronson. And keep in mind, If Pochettino wants to play a playmaker out wide, he can still play Gio Reyna and Malik Tillman as wingers. They are options. Last but not least, we have the center forwards. And I'm going to assume that he's just going to bring 2 of them because if needed, Haji Wright can also play as a forward, as a center forward, a striker. So the 2 that I think he'll bring will be Balogun. To me is a lock. He's our best center forward and he proved that during the Copa America. Plus, I do think Balogun will suit Pochettino's style of play. I guess the system that Pochettino will want to implement, I think Balogun will thrive under it, so he'll 100% be there. But we're going to talk about that in another episode later this week. Now, who will be the second center forward? It's probably between Josh Sargent and Ricardo Pepi. Sargent is playing in the EFL Championship and scoring for Norwich, and there are even rumors that Sargent could be playing the Premier League very soon. Will he? I don't know. At the time of this recording, he's still a Norwich player, and he's one of the best forwards in the EFL Championship. On the other hand, we have Ricardo Pepi that barely plays for PSV. He's just really good at keeping the PSV bench warm for Luuk de Jong. I believe Mauricio Pochettino will bring Josh Sargent. I think it's going to be Balogun and Sargent at least for the first camp. Pepi needs to find a club where he plays, man. He can't just sit on the bench forever at PSV because Luuk de Jong still probably has a good 2 or 3 seasons under him, and Pepi can't just be on the bench for 2 to 3 seasons. So for this camp, I'm going to assume that Pochettino will bring Balogun and Sargent. All right, everyone. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to drop a like before you go and keep an eye out for the next few days because we will release that video talking about Pochettino's tactics, style of play, possible starting 11, and much more. I want to thank you all very much for watching and have a great day.